Well, you're good.
Y'all got the pizza, huh?
So more in the bag if you want some.
It's a little rude, I think. After I'm done. Right?
I mean, Jorge ate like a whole pie when he did his interview up there.
Yeah, no, those guys are crazy. I'll eat after.
Well, Bo, congratulations on staying perfect. I guess what are the emotions and I guess reflections on this fight? Because we've seen in the past you've been critical of yourself even on quick performances. So to go 3 full rounds, I guess what are you feeling?
I feel great. My shin hurts a little bit. He checked one of my kicks, so that wasn't fun. But yeah, overall, I judge myself based on my effort, my performance, how I feel like I did personally, and I was able to take a guy who's a veteran of the sport, dominate him for 15 minutes, shut him out. He really had, he didn't have any big moments in that fight. I feel like I, showcased a lot of development, improvement, really more to myself than anyone else. And so, yeah, very happy with it.
And, at Media Day, you said, there was a world where you could take him down and submit him. You said 1,000 ways to win this fight, but it was a standing affair against an elite black belt. So is that how you saw the fight actually playing out when you, envisioned this?
It was definitely one of the options, a possibility, For me, again, there was a lot of different ways for me to win that fight. I think that I came in open, and as I'm winning the striking battle, I'm not really feeling a lot of resistance from him. I'm not feeling any takedown attempts. So, I had a big advantage on the feet, so I kept it there. I didn't see any sense in taking him down, putting him in his best position, and, making, to me, what would have been just a bad decision, a low IQ decision. So, kept it on the feet, dominated the whole time, and got the win.
We see some of the markings on your face, and you said your shin is a little banged up. Is there anything else going to keep you from training? Is it right back in there?
I got a 7-day suspension from the commission, so we'll be back in a week. But yeah, I think this one, I think I got myself because I don't remember him really ever landing anything. So that might have been, I might have accidentally got myself.
And I have to ask about the chants from the crowd. I mean, I'm sure you're not accustomed to hearing that. Being NCAA wrestler and everything. I guess
I was pumped. They were Bo. How many times does MSG chant your name for that long? So I'm pumped about it. It was great.
Bo, obviously, this is an arena that you and I spoke about the other day. You had some not great memories here. You now get to replace them, at least with a victory. What were kind of the emotions going through your head as you're walking back, and now you get to really soak it in?
Oh, it feels good. I was definitely reliving 2016 quite a few times in the back, and felt good to, in my mind, kind of right that wrong a little bit. And at the end of the day, I look back at those moments in my career that didn't go my way just as blessings, as opportunities to improve and grow and get better. And I think that if you don't choose to humble yourself, then God will humble you, on His terms. And so I just try to stay humble, keep those defeats in my mind, and let them motivate me. But also just feel the gratitude for all the opportunities that I'm presented. And yeah, I think that it's a real cool full circle moment.
And obviously you're done competing for the year unless something crazy comes up, right? But what are you looking to do as far as next year? You want to get in 3 fights?
Absolutely. I would love to fight early 2025. So, as I said, I feel good, no injuries. I'm going to take a couple weeks, do some hunting, maybe go down to Doral, golf with President Trump, and then we'll get back on the training right away.
Thank you.
Are there names you want or locations? Because it's that rumored Miami card. Obviously, you train close to there.
Yeah, I did talk with. I didn't even know there was a Miami card, and I had Jorge Masvidal on my podcast, Nickels and Dimes. You can check it out on YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff. And he announced that he's coming back, so he's gonna be fighting. He told me there was a UFC Miami card, and I was like, bro, let's do it. Me and you on there. Obviously, we have a lot of history training together and stuff, so I think that would be fun. I would love to compete in Miami. It's a second home of sorts for me now, training down at American Top Team, and so I would love that.
That's targeted for the spring, early spring. Is that too far away, or are you willing to wait for fighting there?
I mean, maybe March, but I would like to fight earlier if I can. So we'll see. If it's in March, then I'll probably be in. But later than that, we'll have to adjust.
Bo, right here, right in the middle. So when you come up as fast as you can, obviously you have a big fan base, but there's also people who just hate on you, think you didn't earn the spots. so far in the UFC, you've beaten UFC veterans. They say, oh, he beat cans. He's a can crusher. Now you take a guy like Paul Craig has been ranked, and people are still criticizing your performance. What do you want to say to those people?
It's all good. I appreciate you guys as well. I definitely appreciate the people that believe in me a little more. But, if you're got a problem and hating on the way I'm doing things, it's all good. I'm just focused on myself, improving, developing. And I would hope that you maybe listen to a few more interviews, more long-form content of what I'm doing. You can get to know what type of person I am outside of just, what I do in the cage, because that's just a small part of me. It's in no way like the entirety of the person that I am. It's just what I do and what I love and I'm passionate about. But yeah, I appreciate any type of criticism, feedback, and I think I'm always looking to improve. So if I see some genuine criticism that has a base to it, I would take it to the heart and try to make adjustments.
I know you've been outspoken in interviews and stuff, and sometimes people can misinterpret that. Like you said, some people will call you cocky. It's, a lot of times it's self-confidence. I think about the other day, you talking about wrestling Miles Martin here at MSG and talking about the loss. But on the flip side, you don't mention that, yeah, you lost to him, but then you also pinned him to win the national championship and your team title, kind of showing the humble side of you in that. Do you think that is more your character and that people are missing it, or is it just you really are super confident?
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. That feels good. But I always try to stay grounded. For me, winning and losing is important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important things to me are my faith, my family, my team, my best friends, and the people that I love. And unfortunately, a lot of times in sports, we're just judged on our performances, on our wins and losses, that type of thing. And people are going to have a lot of opinions. But to those people, I would say, I just think that it's important to, if you're going to watch a fighter, cheer for him, boo him, just give them a chance, get to know them, try to figure out what type of person they are. And yeah, I always just try to treat everybody well with respect. And at the same time, I have a very, very sincere belief in myself and what I feel like I can accomplish. And if that bothers someone, then no worries.
Bo, when you started this thing, did you imagine a world where you would do a fight, go 15 minutes, and not shoot a takedown?
Honestly, I don't think I ever imagined that. But it's a really cool thing, and I think it's a great testament to my coaches and my team, all my coaches at American Top Team, Mike Brown, Coach Ton, Coach Barboza, Thiago Alves. These are guys that I'm working with a lot, and Coach Barry Robinson with A Million Styles Boxing. So if I didn't have these people, I don't think that I just wouldn't have the skills and the base that I do right now. And so I'm very fortunate to be around those guys. And I think it's, for me, it's something that I feel a lot of excitement in, because that's, as you mentioned, it's not something that I kind of saw myself doing previously. And now I know I can fight that way if I need to.
Is there a weird balance to try to figure out, right? Because we see some of these wrestlers historically through the sport who have come in and they've kind of fallen in love with their hands to a degree, and then maybe things get neglected. So how do you, figure that out going forward?
Well, I'm definitely never going to forget my roots, and I think that I show that with the commitment of my time and continuing to train with Penn State wrestling team. There was a NWCA All-Star Classic tonight as well in State College, where some of the best college wrestlers were competing against one another, and we had a bunch of guys compete. Those are guys I'm training with day in, day out, the best guys in the country, the best guys in the world, and so I'm keeping that wrestling base really strong. I feel like if I wanted to go back into wrestling right now and compete at a world championship level, I could do that. And so it's balancing that with continuing to put time and effort into the striking, the jiu-jitsu, and really it's just my life. I dedicate every single second, all of my energy to being the best fighter I can be. And if I want to go do other things, then my MMA is going to suffer. But I really am just focused on this goal. And so that's how I make the time, and I'm able to manage it all.
And speaking of wrestling, I know you said at Media Day you wanted your rematch with John Jones. We saw the videos come out right after that. What do you think? Are you guys 1-1 now? Or?
I think we're 1-1. We're going to have to run it back again. I don't know if he called anybody out after this fight, or if he said he's going to, go again. But if he's retired, then maybe we'll do a wrestling match on Fight Pass. And settle it.
He said he's sticking around.
Let's go. I love it.
just to go.
Get me on every John Jones card forever. It's great.
Hey, Bo, during your fight, Chris Weidman, who had his fight unfortunately get canceled tonight, tweeted out that he would beat all you guys. Is that of any interest, fighting Chris?
No, I love Chris. He's awesome, and he's a great competitor. I was super bummed that he didn't get this fight. Just it's in his home state, and I know the weight cut is not fun. So, yeah, wish him nothing but the best. He's a guy I would love to train with. I would love to get in there, get some sparring rounds. I'm sure I could learn a lot from him.
Bo, congrats. How realistic is it for the UFC to go to State College someday?
Super realistic, let's do it. Let's do State College, Bryce Jordan Center. The way I see it happening that I think would be the coolest is if we have a, Penn State versus Iowa, Penn State, Ohio State match on Friday, run it right back the next day, Saturday, with the UFC, and I guarantee you I myself will sell out 17,000 tickets. I don't even need an undercard anybody else. So, I'll do, that's the type of pull in State College that I have, and yeah, it would be incredible.
Bo, your mother was actually a former amateur boxer. I'm wondering, does she encourage you more to strike, or does she like when you wrestle in the fights?
Yeah, I'll just clear the air because sometimes things get misconstrued. First off, my mom is like the toughest lady I know. If she was 20 years younger, she'd have been in the UFC, she'd have been champion for sure. But she started boxing at like 40 and won a bunch of amateur fights, was very tough, but, not like boxed her whole life, that type of thing. And she might still be able to beat me up. I don't know. So I got to be careful with these words. But yeah, as far as my mom's opinions on my fighting, she loves it. It's really interesting. Most moms probably, cringe at the sight of their sons or daughters stepping in the cage, and my mom's so here for it, which is great for me. I feel very supported.
Were you at your mom's matches?
I cornered her for one match.
Really? What
Yeah.
was it like?
This was crazy. So I've talked about this earlier this week. So basically the way it went, how my mom got into boxing, they did a charity firefighters versus police boxing match, and there was no female firefighters in the town that we were living in at the time. And so somebody knew her, somebody knew somebody, and they kind of were like, oh, well, she'll do it. Like, my mom will do it. They know, like, and my mom was like, I will do it. Let's go. And so she fought a woman police officer, won the fight, and just started liking it. So then she started training a little bit, took an amateur fight, won, and then they kind of set her up to fight this young girl, like 21-year-old prospect, Golden Gloves champion, like 12-0 amateur record. It was like last fight before she was going to win professional. And we went to this Indian casino. It was me, my 3 little sisters, and my mom. And my mom's in like shorts and like a T-shirt basically. And this girl's warming up with her trunks, and she's got 4 cornermen with the water and the Vaseline and all that. My mom gets in there, the girl's bouncing around, and I'm in her corner, right? I'm 12 years old or something. And so I don't know what to say. And this girl's kind of like nothing happened at first, and then end of the first round, my mom cracks her with her right hand, and she's kind of like, oh, frick. And the coaches start yelling and stuff, and then mom tees off on her a little bit, rounds ends, and then next round comes out, and my mom just is working this chick, just whooping her butt. And actually, they threw in the towel. They threw in the towel, quit, and then after that, I think that was my mom's last fight. So she fought a couple amateur fights, did well, and yeah, it was crazy to watch as a young kid for sure, but motivated me a lot.
How much did that kind of influence you at all when fighting started to come on the periphery of like maybe what you could do?
So for me as a young kid, I always just loved wrestling. It was like wrestling. I played other sports, but I was really serious about wrestling, and so I just loved it, and I didn't do anything else. I didn't want to do anything else, and but it was in the back of my mind. Oh, maybe when I'm done wrestling, I'll fight. And I would watch guys like Randy Couture, Dan Henderson, Matt Hughes, and think, oh, these guys are wrestlers. They did it. Like, that could be me someday. And so it was something that was in the back of my mind. I never really like actively pursued it until a couple years ago.
I lobbed you a softball. You could have just said, yes, my mom inspired me to become a fighter.
All right, my mom, she did inspire me for sure. I was inspired.
Hey, bro, a quick question. Congratulations on a great win. I wanted to ask if you have any specific names you want to fight next. And after the fight, you had a small conversation with Donald Trump. What you guys talked about?
Yeah, there's not really any specific names that I have. For me, just keep getting better, keep developing, and improve at fighting, and whoever my coaching staff, management team of the UFC decide, then we'll make it work. And yeah, after the fight, I saw President Trump, obviously, saw him before the fight as well. So showed him my golf swing, asked him how it looked. He said it needs work. And I told him, all right, well, I know you're in Florida in the winter, so I'll see you in Doral. Let's get some rounds. So I'll be down in Florida playing some golf with Mr. President and hopefully improving that swing.
Bo right here. I don't think your cardio was much of a question coming into this fight, but you definitely showed you could stay on the feet for 15 minutes with a pretty tricky fighter. Did you prove anything to yourself tonight, or did you just kind of solidify what you already know?
Absolutely prove something to myself. I think every time you step in the cage, you have that opportunity, and I can't even say like how happy I am with that performance. Despite reactions from whoever, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm psyched, and I beat a guy, tricky fighter with 18 UFC fights and a ton of experience, and I was able to dominate him, shut him out, and win a decision very easy and barely sweating by the end of it. I could have done another fight, no problem, right after that.
Bo,
Obviously, you were disappointed that you didn't get that finish, but is it almost better for you that you did go all 15 minutes and kind of just show what you're capable of?
Definitely. It's way better for me, my development. I mean, if you look at my cage time, what I had before this, I over doubled it, I'm sure. And so, that's something that you really, for me, I've really almost like cornered myself with this reputation of a guy that just finishes everybody, destroys them, because then that's the expectation that's set. But again, my expectation is compete to the best of my ability at 100% effort. That's it. It's not anything to do with the result. Doesn't matter. Decision, submission, knockout. I'm definitely not disappointed with this result. I was way more disappointed with my last fight, and I subbed the guy. So, this fight for me was perfect, picture perfect.
But just in general, like, what is it like for you to fight in front of the president? And like, why do you think so many fighters like try to go up to him and talk to him like after fights?
He's just the man, like he just has that crazy aura, and everybody wants to be around him. He's just so charismatic and dynamic, and for me, I'll say the craziest part is it's just becoming normal. It's just becoming like my life, and been able to spend a lot of time with him, which I'm really, really grateful for. Just to I grew up in small town, and to be around somebody like that is just amazing. And so for him to come watch my fight, I was able to see him on his way out as well, talk to him for another second, is just something I'm really, really appreciative of.
So you mentioned you want to fight about 3 times in 2025 maybe, which is a big departure from what happened here in 2024. Are there any sort of regrets about maybe not getting as much cage time in 2024, not getting enough fights? How's the motivation suddenly flipped?
Is 2 fights to 3 fights that's a big difference?
It's a large difference.
I guess
it's a while between the fights.
I guess it's like 30%, right? Ish.
33.
So, yeah, it's a decent difference. Yeah, I think for me, I want to fight as much as I can, and with that being said, development takes precedent over the quantity of my fights, right? So, I would rather just continue to get better, improve, and than just get a bunch of fights to get a bunch of fights. And so, my kind of mindset and view of how I want my career to progress, I think is very different and unusual from most fighters and from what the press, the media, the fans see. They're like, all the fighters are, let me get in there, let me bang, bro. Like, I'm about it. I want the number 1 guy. And I get that mentality, but that's just not me. I'm development first, improve, get better, and that's just the way it's going to be until my career's over. It doesn't matter if I'm 1-0, 6-0, 26-0. It's going to be that mindset.
And there's no argument that in cage fights, the actual fights will aid the development more than just the practice?
There absolutely is a lot of merit to that, but I think that it's a balance, right? So, there's some guys that get 5 or 6 fights in a year just to get the checks and get the fights. That's not me. I think that there's going to be times in my career where I can fight 3 or 4 times a year. There's going to be times where I fight 2. Maybe there's a time where I don't fight for a whole year. But it just depends on what's best for me and my development, and that's a conversation between me, my coaching staff, and the people that I trust. And so, yeah, I mean, you look at the beginning of my career, and I had 5 fights in 365 days. And now, this year in 2024, I had 2. So, hopefully next year I'm thinking 3 to 4, but we'll see what makes sense from a development perspective. Thank you, guys.